The use of model food samples in restaurants all over Japan started with a dining out boom in the 1920s. Back then, one department store after another was opening in big cities like Tokyo and Osaka. Their cafeterias became wildly popular. In those days, middle-class office workers were proliferating in Japan, and they began to enjoy going out on the town all dressed up to eat a meal. Department store cafeterias, which offered a wide range of dishes representing both Japanese and Western cuisine, were at the center of the dining out boom. Some attracted as many as 20,000 customers a day. The customer would order at the table, but when there were so many customers at each restaurant, this would really slow things down. As a result, there were always people waiting to get in. And once the food came, there were customers who would say it was different from what they expected, and they'd change or cancel an order. The department stores had to reduce the crowds and the complaints, so they experimented with ways to let customers see the food and decide what to order in advance. At first, samples of actual food were displayed at the cafeteria entrance. But because they were real, they would soon change colour. During the summer, they would spoil before half the day was done and draw flies as well. It was in 1932 that someone came along to create practical model food samples. Takizo Iwasaki of Osaka. At the time, Iwasaki was an employee of a company making boxed lunches. His wife was sick, and he was barely able to put food on the table. He wasn't able to pay the electricity bill, so they used candles for lighting. Iwasaki would gaze into the candlelight late into the night. One evening, he picked off a piece of molten wax with a fingertip and was surprised to see his fingerprint clearly imprinted in the hardened wax. When he let wax drip on the tatami, the pattern of the ridges was exactly reproduced. Iwasaki became intrigued by the possibilities of wax. An acquaintance asked Iwasaki whether he could make model food samples. Instinctively, Iwasaki knew that he could do it with wax. Despite having no experience, he immediately started making prototypes. For the molds, he tried gelatin, agar, and gypsum, and decided to go with agar. Here's the very first model food sample Iwasaki created, an omelette. He himself was amazed at how realistic it looked. He was confident that he could make money out of it. So that year he founded a factory making model food samples. Then he came up with a revolutionary business scheme. Instead of selling the model samples to cafeterias, he decided to rent them. He set the price for a 1-month rental of each item at 10 times the price of the actual food. The cafeterias had been using real food as samples, 30 servings a month that went to waste. But now, at the price of only 10 servings, they could display samples every day throughout the month. The reputation of the model food samples spread, and with department store cafeterias leading the way, they were adopted all over Japan.